You're listening to the Live Free podcast. I'm your host, Christine, author, speaker, mentor, and guide. I'm here today to discuss living life after adversity, to discuss living life fully once again, a life of hope, peace, and resiliency, a life fully embodied. I utilize the lessons that I learned going through not one, but two primary cancers. I'm here today to guide you to your joy, turn your pain into power, and lead you back to yourself. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Live Free podcast. Today we have Dr. Laura Gabayan on the podcast, or Dr. G. She is a world-renowned physician, researcher, and Psychology Today contributor. Through her Wisdom Research Project, she interviewed 60 wise adults from across North America and defined 8 fundamental elements of wisdom. She describes her findings in her new book and journal, Common Wisdom, 8 Scientific Elements of a Meaningful Life, as well as the journal Common Wisdom Journal. I really loved our conversation today with Dr. Laura. She is a fantastic, resilient woman, and she has identified some beautiful, beautiful points when it comes to wisdom and getting through difficult times. So I know you'll love this episode, so let's get started. Hello, Dr. G. Thank you so much for joining us at the podcast.
Sure, thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to chatting with you today. Where in the world are you tuning in from, Laura?
Los Angeles.
Los Angeles. Okay, so nice, beautiful weather out there today.
Yes, beautiful,
Excellent.
always beautiful, but yes.
Yeah, perfect. I'm so glad to hear that. We are very fortunate here in Canada. We've got some beautiful weather as well, so things are going well. Okay, so I am looking forward to our conversation. I want to start with, what really brought you to where you are today. So, who are you? What's your background?
I'm a physician, I'm a researcher, and I had published a lot. I was very left brain. And I'm a researcher, I'm a scientist. And I was diagnosed with the autoimmune condition in 2013 after I noticed that my body started to develop random symptoms. As you can hear, I still slur my speech. And I was like, wait, and that's when I was like, well, physicians and medicine was ready to label me, to diagnose me, to put me in a box, say, oh, you have this is what you this and this. And I was like, well, there must be another way. There must be people who think outside the box. And that's when I was interested in learning more about the whys. And that's when I looked into wisdom, and it took many years. Eventually, I did, and I interviewed 60 wise individuals. I am a scientist because we didn't really know much about wisdom. It's very anecdotal and subjective, and I don't do well with subjective. And so I interviewed 60 wise individuals and found the 8 elements of wisdom using my scientific skills and put it in a book that I published called Common Wisdom. And then I also, because after each chapter of those 8 elements, there are questions, just like 3 or 4, that make you think, I also wrote a journal called the Common Wisdom Journal. And that was published more recently, and that has more of those questions.
Okay. Okay. Wow, what a journey. I would be, there's so many directions I want to go with this. First of all, I'm sorry to hear about what you have dealt with for the past few years. It
Oh, for a
sounds,
long time, right? 2013, we're in 2025. but it totally allowed me to change course. And I wrote this book. So, the one thing I didn't tell you was the 8 elements of what define wisdom, which were
Hmm.
resilience, kindness, positivity, spirituality, humility, tolerance, creativity, and curiosity.
Wow. Wow. Amazing. Amazing. And so you found this within each person that you interviewed that you found was wise.
You know, it's funny because I had a team, 2 other people with me. I had a research assistant and marketing specialist, and only of the 60, and these were people that were very hard to find, and of the 60, only one person had all 8. And
Oh.
and of the 60, most had 2 to 5. So the most common element was the first one, which was resilience. And then it kind of went in order. So resilience, then kindness and positivity. But I definitely think that they're all related. Like, to be resilient, it's helpful to be positive. So I think they're all related.
Wow. I'm curious, did you find that within those 60 individuals that there were a lot of them that were had gone through something, had had a difficult
Horrible.
experience?
Horrible life event. And you can see that behind me I have pictures of the Palisades, and that's when I lost my home in the Palisades fire. And after I had lost my home, I thought to myself, well, the 60 people I spoke with had gone through horrible life events as well. And it was helpful that, life happens. Life is difficult, and so you just move on. So, and it was helpful to know that I wasn't alone.
Mm. No, you're certainly not alone, for sure. I'm sorry to hear about also the house fire. My goodness, what a life you have lived.
Yeah, the house fire. That was a
Yeah.
shock. Definitely a shock.
Yeah. And is that what moved you then to LA?
I'm still in LA. The Palisades is the outskirts of LA. So now I live in
Oh, I
West
see.
LA. So yeah.
Okay. Right, right. I apologize for my ignorance there.
No, it's
Okay.
okay. So it's funny because it wasn't just the loss of my home. It was the loss of a whole community, a whole town, right?
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
so anyway,
Okay. Okay. All right. So I find that really fascinating because, first and foremost, this podcast centers around resilience. It centers around, women and men who have been diagnosed with something that limited them and that, we rise above, we move forward with resilience, kindness, positivity, etc. And so I just find it exciting that much of the research you've brought to this conversation today is so on point for what I have always believed to be the way that we get through difficulty. That how we rise above is similar to what you see to be what are wise people.
it's funny because I did ask them, all of them, the same 10 questions. And one of those 10 was, how do you deal with difficulties in life? And the one person who got all 8 elements said, oh, I would never call it difficulty. And so he was so positive. And I don't know, he like reframed it and wherever he's like, oh, I would never call it difficulty. And so it's funny because of all, I feel like being positive is a very big foundation of that.
Mhm. Certainly reframing your experience to be one that serves you rather than hinders you.
Yeah.
Okay. So what was the rest of that journey like in writing that book? It must have been very uplifting.
Well, I think it's funny because someone's like, well, where did you get the thoughts? A lot of thoughts for the book came from the 10 years of experience of me observing others. And so it was, and then also I'm very to the point. I
Mhm.
know the book doesn't waste time. It's very to the point. I'm a researcher. I'm used to writing what normal people would write in a paragraph, but I write it in like a sentence.
Mm.
So when I submitted what I had to my editor, he was like, "Wait, this could be a pamphlet. This is not. There's not much." And so he definitely helped fluff it up a little, but overall, it's still very to the point. So it solves the question or problem of figuring out what wisdom is, because up until I figured it out, or up until I defined it, it was always thought of as, oh, I know it when I see it. And that's not what it is. It's more of I feel like it's those 8 elements.
Okay, okay. And in the book, would you say that the person listening, or sorry, reading, would help to kind of garner wisdom within themselves as a result of reading the book?
The funny thing is the book breaks it down to those 8 elements so that you can think to yourself, oh, okay, I'm good at this. I'm not good at that. And what I did recently that just went, I guess, a soft launch last week, actually, was the Wisdom IQ test. And that's on my website. The Wisdom IQ test is the same. It kind of helps you decide what you're good at and what you're not. And, like, for example, for me, the most shocking chapter or element was kindness because I didn't really grow up with it. My husband is, and his family is, but I didn't grow up with it. And spirituality, being a physician, is something I just didn't know what to make of. And so that was the hardest chapter to write. I remember writing it, and my editor was like, "Nah, you're gonna have to read." So I wrote it at the end. It was the very final chapter. It was the fourth element, but it was the very final part I wrote at the end. Because I always learned that if you can't explain it, if you can't see it, if you can't measure it, wherever you can't, if it's not there physically, then you can't explain, then it's not there. So spirituality is what you can't see or explain with your mind. And that was hard for me to imagine.
Certainly. I, like you said at the beginning of our interview, left-brained, very, scientific based. And
Right.
so spirituality is very creative,
Well,
right-brained.
yeah, it's very woo
Yeah,
woo.
very woo-woo. I know I'm waving my arms and you are waving your arms as we speak about it, because, it's in the ether, it's in the air. How do you describe it, right?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, fine. Okay. Okay. And so have you found that over time you've begun to cultivate more kindness and more spirituality in yourself?
I definitely feel like it's hard to cultivate them if you're not raised with the kindness, for example. But yes, I definitely feel like the book, Interviewing the 60, just bringing up how important those are has made me focus on those as well. So,
Wow.
yes.
Extraordinary. Extraordinary. Okay. And so what was the driving force behind writing about wisdom? What do you feel like wisdom does for us?
It's funny because someone was like, "Well, can you define it?" I'm like, "Well, first of all, it's not one thing. I think the way I can explain it is, life throws you lots of challenges, and wisdom doesn't erase those challenges. It just helps you get through them,
Mm,
overcome them. It helps you kind of, so wisdom in a way is like a tool for overcoming the tragedies of life. And so that's how I think about it. But when you kind of define what is it, I would say the 8 elements, is a person who is kind and positive and humble and tolerant but yet they are creative and curious as well, and they're resilient in their approach to life. So, and spiritual, of course.
Wow. Wow. And so wisdom translates to moving through conflict in a way that that you feel more uplifted, that you are better for it.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Wow. Extraordinary. I just love it. That's very cool. Okay. Okay. All right. And so I guess the next question that I would ask would be, so how did you find going through that experience helped you in your life with the things that you had dealt with?
I don't know if it was, I think the book, the project, all of that helped me reroute my life, and I've always been a very positive person, so have I seen, and I feel like I view my inabilities as a gift. It kind of rerouted and stopped me from doing what I was doing, and changed my life. So it kind of helped me in that. I should probably pay more close attention, because it's still difficult too. So I don't know if it's kind of changed my day to day.
Mm. Okay. Okay. And maybe slow shifts that over time have impacted you.
Probably.
Okay. Okay. Generally, if we write a book, we have a deep desire of some kind that this book will be cathartic, or it will be helpful, or it will help me grow, or whatever it is that draws us to it. And given the fire that you went through, the immune system, sorry, I don't know the word for it right now,
Well,
problems that you dealt with.
I ended up finding out it was Lyme disease, but initially it
Lyme
was
disease.
an immune condition that looked
Right.
like a stroke. Still looks like a stroke.
Okay. Lyme disease. Wow. Okay. All right. So that would have been confronting at the time.
Yeah.
Certainly. Okay.
Well, medicine doesn't believe in Lyme disease, so in a way it kind
Oh,
of worked in that regard.
okay. Right. And you said that they want to put you in a box and those sorts of
Right.
things. And so
They don't
you
believe
wanted
in
to find,
right.
okay, and you wanted to find alternative. I'm sure that's impacted you as a physician as well,
Well,
having
I
gone
don't
through this.
work anymore. I don't work in the year. I think that it kind of it just it kind of solidified my view of you don't have to be X to know this. You don't have to be, it just kind of solidified it.
Fine. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. So if a person came to you and said, I'd like to know, what is the trick to wisdom? What would you say to them in a short form?
I would say that be patient, because
Mm,
there's no trick. It's a lifelong process. And
mm,
I have broken it down for you. And you can, for example, I had someone I spoke with, she's like, oh, I took your test and I did well on everything except creativity. And I'm like, well, so my answer is just be patient, but know that doing empowering any one of those elements takes time. Growing that element takes time. So there's no quick trick.
okay, fine. Yeah, fair. Fair enough.
It's like a life's
Um,
purpose.
yeah, exactly. Isn't that the truth? We're always looking for the trick, the easy way, the pill that we can take that will fix it.
Right.
Yeah. And so it takes time and to cultivate and get to that point. Okay.
Right.
So outside of the book and how it could be helpful for the next person who would be interested, is there anything else you want to leave with the listeners?
I feel like the book is like a friend. It's like a mentor. And the reason at the end of each chapter I have questions with two date options is because you are different as now versus 5 years from now, for example. So, and the answer you give now will be different. So, I view it as like a companion, like a mentor, like a companion that will stay with you. And so I think it's just gonna it's like priceless and timeless. So that there's the book Common Wisdom, and by the way, the reason I called it Common Wisdom is because it was the 8 common elements that they had, and wisdom were of the wise. So outside of the final messages, no, I think what would help is take the wisdom IQ test on my website,
Okay.
lauragabayan.com. At that wisdom IQ test is what will allow someone to identify what they're good at and what they're not.
And where they could begin to cultivate those other
Right.
aspects
And
using the
unlike a
information you
lot of
provided.
right, and unlike a lot of other tests out there, there's no additional charge to finish the test.
Mm.
I believe that someone should really complete it and finish it and realize what they're good at and what they're not.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's a wonderful gift that you've given us. Thank you. And I look forward to taking the test myself. I'll be very interested to find out how I'm measuring up in the wisdom space.
Well, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. It's been an absolute pleasure.
So again, lauragabayan.com. It's a hard website, but the Wisdom IQ test will help.
Okay. Perfect. I'll link all of that. And then if anybody is interested, then they can take that test and go from there.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for listening. If you loved this last episode, then consider rating the podcast. Those few seconds that it takes makes a huge difference. Also, if you are interested in mentorship, transformational programs, or reading the book Unbroken, Rising Above, Thriving Within, then take a look at the show notes for all the resources and links. Always remember, you can overcome any obstacle. Let's do this together.